Hi. Okay, so here we go. This is the project we're working on tonight. And like I said, it is a file folder mini album. It does have a belly band to hold it closed. Um, yeah, so let's just go through it. All right, so the belly band actually comes off. And you don't have to slide it off. I have it with a magnetic closure. Okay, and let me move this out of the way. And I do have a piece of chippy glued right on here just because I was debating with myself whether I was going to glue everything down on the file folder mini or put it on a belly band, and I kind of changed my mind halfway through what I was doing. So unfortunately, I have nothing to show you paper-wise from the Authentique collection that we're using, which is the Crush collection, and it is a Valentine's Day collection. I'm not using it as a Valentine's Day paper. I'm using it as something else. It's gorgeous paper. This is like this and the few little scraps that I have left. That's all I have left because there's so much to cover in here that I had to do a lot of prep work. Gorgeous, gorgeous papers. So I'll show you that in just a minute. So you'll see actually as I'm flipping through the mini. So it is a file folder mini. It's made out of 2 file folders plus the belly band and a couple other pieces. So really if you're going to do this, you need at least 3 file folders. And I did get white file folders. So this is obviously the cover. And that's my daughter. And the reason I actually picked this collection was not only for the color, but because it goes so well with the pictures. This is pictures of her and her friends at Oktoberfest. They're stationed in Germany. So anyways, and they're all dressed up and the colors are perfect. It matches everything very well. So this is a little pocket. It's actually an envelope pocket. And then I have another envelope with a tab in here. So I'm just going to push that back. Little belly band that holds journaling card and photo spot, and I'm not going to show you some of the pictures. I didn't put them all in here because I don't have permission to use those pictures because it's for friends. So another picture here, and then a few flowers, which this little flower here keeps getting mushed. Another journaling card, more papers, more journaling cards here. Little pocket here with more journaling cards, and I did add a tag in here as well. More journaling cards here. I did make a photo frame. I'm not sure if I like that or not, but flip it over. Another envelope pocket. And I do have some extra tags in here. Blank page, since I didn't put all the pictures in. And then another envelope pocket here with pictures of my daughter. Okay, and then for the back side, I just used a piece of regular cardstock. I wanted to make sure I used all the good stuff on the inside and not on the back side. So let me show you again the belly band. We're going to do this in 2 parts. And this here is actually done with punches. Now, a lot of this here needs some wet media, so we're going to start on this first so it can dry. So let me move this out of the way. Okay, and this is the piece of the belly band. I did cut that from the file folder. I cut it across this way so I would have the length. Okay, and real quick, let me show you, you know, with your edge punches, this is what you get, right? And then if you cut a strip, then you wind up, if you're not measuring it properly or if you don't worry about it, you get the piece in between. But if you want this, okay, it's real easy to do. And I'm going to show you how to do that, and then we'll move on to the wet stuff. Okay. So I just took a piece of cardstock because I have everything else prepped. And I just want to show you how to do that on here. And I wrote top, so that would be the top side of my paper, and I've got an arrow there. And I'm going to take my punch. Now, the most important thing that you need to know to do this is the depth right here. of the actual punch. Now there's a couple ways you can do that. You can measure it this way. If you think it's off, you can insert a piece of paper in there, punch it, and then do your measuring. Yeah, a couple different ways. So here's the big thing. You always want to make sure that whatever the top of the paper is that you want to see goes in like this, okay? And I've done my arrow here because we're always going to start punching on that side in order to have symmetrical on both sides for this, okay? So I'm going to turn my punch over because you need to see what I'm doing, all right? You don't want to just start anywhere. You want to start on the end. Okay, I hope you can see that. And I'm trying to line it up and watch the camera at the same time. All right, I don't want my piece of paper here. I want to line it up with this metal edge right here. That's the furthest edge that's going to cut. So unfortunately, I have to see it to punch it. So I'm going to turn it. It's right on the edge, okay? And I'm going to punch. And then I'm going to punch through, and I chose a small piece of paper just so you didn't have to sit here and watch me punch all night. All right. So we still have the top is here and my arrow is here, okay? Turn it around, insert it into your punch. Here's your arrow. You're going to line it up on this side. Hi, Carrie. I just got a message from Carrie. She's at the airport. All right, so and that's how you get that. Pretty simple, right? All right, let me clean up this mess. Hi, Jean. Okay, so now I've got some scrap pieces of paper, and unfortunately, I'm sorry, it's white. Everything is white. Alda's probably having a heart attack right now. I'm sorry, but not much I can do about it, okay? So this is a strip that I cut from the file folder, and I punched all the way across. I'm just going to spray it. And I'm using Lindy Stamp Gang Frostbitten Fuchsia. Now, it shows up really pink, but it's really not all that pink. It's mostly shimmer with just a tiny little hint of pink. So I'm going to spray this, and I'm going to give it a really good coat. I do have another one in case this one isn't dry. Okay, and I'm also going to spray my flowers, and I'm using Manor House. These are color wash double ups, and this is the Jade. I used this one for the original one, and I'm going to use this one, and I'm going to take it apart, or part of it apart. I'm going to take at least a couple layers off, and I should have done this ahead of time, but I didn't think about it. All right, it's a gorgeous flower, but I don't want all the thickness because I'm already going to add more with the rest of the flowers. Okay, come on now. They got some good glue on there. All right, here we go. And I'm going to take another layer, and I'll just undo the bottom one. Okay, good to go. All right, let's move that aside. I'm also going to use some of the Petaloo textured elements. These are Burlap Blossoms in Fuchsia, and I'm going to use both of those. I'm going to spray all this as well. All right, and one more, and you can see I've already cut the Prima Vine. This is Millicent Pink Meadowlark, and I've already cut it. Like I said, it was one vine. And I use the other part on the first mini. So I'm going to spray these two. I'm not going to overdo it. I just want a little bit of shimmer on them. Trying not to spray my foam here. Okay. And I'm going to put this aside to dry. Alright. One more. And where is it? Right here. This is a Creative Embellishments Chippy. Isn't that gorgeous? Absolutely love this. It is called Flourish Set 15. Now I've already added a coat of gesso on there again because time. Alright. And then I'm going to add some of the Shimmers Dazzlers in foiled again. I hope you can see that. It's a beautiful silver. And I'm going to add it with one of my favorite tools, the little spouncer. I think that's what they're called. That's what I call them anyways. Alright, and I'm just going to put some on there, on my mat. That should be good. And I'm going to pick it up and just go like that. And by doing it like this, it kind of adds a little bit of texture. And I like the look of it. It's not perfect, and that's fine. I'm happy with that. I'm probably going to need a little bit more, or I'll pick up the stuff that's underneath it. And that's that. Drop my brush. And again, I'm going to put that aside to dry. And that pretty much takes care of all the wet stuff. I should probably mention to you that Authentique papers are a real, I think I've already said it, a real heavyweight paper. It's really thick, and it's so wonderful to do mixed media on. It doesn't warp like a lot of papers do. It's just wonderful. I love it. Alright, set that aside to dry. Let's move on. Okay. Oh, I forgot these. That's okay. No problem. So I'm just using standard size file folders. Okay. And like I said, you need 3. So you need 1 to cut your long strip. And you also need to punch some circles. I did the scallop circles because that was the first punch I picked up. You need 4. Okay. You need them. You don't need to have them as big as I have them, but you need at least 4, and we'll get to that in a little bit. Alright, so you need 1 to punch your circles and 1 for your belly band. So let me move that aside. I want you to cut your other 2 file folders at 10 inches. Now I chose 10 inches. You could make it, you could leave it at 12 inches if you want to. That's totally up to you. Let me put my phone there so it'll give us some. How wide to cut the paper? Okay, I can go back to that. Yes. Where's my punch? When you punch your strip, maybe I can show you on the other piece. Alright. When you punch your strip here, okay, you have, this is, you don't want to measure this part. You need to measure this part plus the excess that gets cut. So let me take a scrap here, and let me see if I can even find a scrap here. I have one right here. Look at that. Alright, here's the scrap. I'm just going to cut it. I'm just going to punch. Alright, so you can see what I'm doing. You need to measure from this edge, the furthest edge this way, and not all punches are equal, let me tell you. Alright, you need to measure right from there to this very end. So in this particular case, this punch is 1 1/4 inches wide. Alright, in order to have this, you double that measurement, so that would be 2 1/2 inches. So as long as I cut my paper 2 1/2 inches wide, I will get the medallion effect with the punching. I hope that's, you know, clear. You can do this with any of your edge punches. You just need to determine that width, and once you've determined the width, then go ahead and double that measurement, and it'll be exactly what you need. Alright, if you're unsure of yourself, test it on scrap paper first. Alright, that's how I figured it out. Oops. Alright, something just went flying. I hope it wasn't anything important. Okay, so back to the file folders. Alright, so I cut mine to 10 inches. I decided I didn't want them any bigger than that. So we're going to start with the first one. Don't throw away this strip. You're going to need it. Alright, and I'll show you why in a few minutes. So we're going to start with the first one. And scoreboard. Alright, and what I want to do is I want to make a score line. I do want to give it some depth. You can see that. Whoops. Oh, that's too close. Focus. Alright. If I turn it this way, you can see I only have 1/4 inch. If you want yours thicker, you can do that. That's totally up to you, but I did 1/4 inch. So I want to make a score. I'm not using the scored lines that are already on the folder, and I don't know if you can see that right here. I'm not using those lines. I'm using another line. So I'm going to put my file folder right here, and I'm going to line it up as best as I can so that this edge here is lined up. Okay, and then I'm going to go on the furthest edge here. Whoops. All right, and I'm going to go 1/4 inch from there. So here's my main fold line. I'm going to go 1/4 inch there and score, and then fold and burnish. Okay, so now you can see, I hope you can see, I have the depth. All right, second folder, we're going to do a little bit differently. All right, so open it up. Again, you want to make sure that this line is straight. It doesn't have to be lined up to a spot where you score. It just needs to be straight. All right, 5 inches from this point. So, which obviously is going to be 5 inches here, but you want to make sure that you measure from the furthest point. All right, turn it around, do the same thing on the other side. Now, I do have one already prepped, which is why I can't show you the papers, because I used them all. Well, most of it. I used the, like I mentioned, the Authentic collection. The collection pack comes with 12 sheets of or pattern paper, I should say. And it also comes with some stickers, some die cuts, some alphas, all kinds of good stuff. Oh, I need this one more time. All right. This little strip here, all right, just cut it in half. Doesn't matter if you cut this off or not. You can if you want to, if it bothers you. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay. And just roughly in the middle. Again, doesn't have to be exact because no one's really going to see it. And you'll see that my line isn't perfect because of the depth of it. Alright. So I scored it in roughly half. Alright. Now I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to move this out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to put score tape on it. I like score tape. It's nice and easy to work with, and the best part about it is that when you get to the edge, you don't have to pick up your scissors. Just tear. Alright? So what I'm doing is I'm going close to the fold line, and I'm going to do that on both sides. Alright, turn it around. Okay, so, and I am going to burnish those down because I don't have nails to pick the paper off of. So, alright. So I'm going to cut an angle, and I guess this is from doing a lot of mini albums because I never wanted to see that edge sticking out past my paper, so I just do it even though, because my strip is short, you're really not going to see it very much. Okay. So we're going to start with this piece here. This is the one that opens like this. Alright. So I'm going to take this side here. I'm going to turn it upside down and towards me. And I'm going to take my strip. And this is how I do it. I only take one of the pieces of score tape off for the simple reason that glue of any kind and I don't get along very well. Alright, and I always make a mess and get it in the wrong place. So if I only have one, it's only one to take off. So I'm going to center it as best as I can right on the edge of the file folder, on the fold that we made. And then all I have to do is lift up that little section and pull it and glue it down. Okay, that was pretty easy, wasn't it? It's the only way I can do it, guys, I swear. Okay, now we're going to insert this into here. So here's our score tape. We're going to insert it into here, and this is the fold line that we just made. So I'm going to go about 1/8 of an inch close to that, all right, to that fold line. So again, I'm going to take the first piece off, and I got to turn it towards me so I can see. And I'm going to stand up because, wow, okay. Sorry, that's probably really loud because I'm right over the camera. And then again, flip it, and I'm going to take the other piece out. If I can grab it. There we go. Alright, that was easy, wasn't it? So there's your main folder parts. Now, if you wanted to, you could do the same thing on this side over here. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use envelopes. Alright? And you can use any size envelopes that you want. I have some small ones. I happen to have a pink one. I have a large one. And another large one. Okay? So I'm going to use this one here. And I'm going to seal the flap shut. And then I'm going to trim one of the ends. Just enough to say, doesn't matter which end. And I'm going to trim it just so I can make a pocket out of it. Okay? Get rid of that. So where I have the slit, that's going to be my pocket. And I'm going to take my little, this is a 1.5 inch circle punch. I'm going to take that, insert it. I'm just going to eyeball it about halfway. And that looks pretty good, roughly. And punch through it. And that's done. So now, that I need to make sure is my top. Alright, and it's actually going to go, let me see here. I want this on the back side. So this is going to go like this. So I need to put my piece here, which is too long. Just cut it on this edge. Okay, so I'm going to move this out of the way again because I need to be able to see. And again, I'm just going to eyeball it, but going right on the edge. Alright, pull my other strip off. Like I said, I have no nails. And I've tried doing it with the pokey tool and it just doesn't work for me. For whatever reason. Alright, back here again. Alright, remember, this is our folder on this side. Now we're going to go on this side. Now here, when you go to put this one in, you have to be mindful of where your first fold is. Alright, so you want to go on that side of it. And again, I'm going to go about roughly 1/8 of an inch, so I have to stand up again. And I want to make sure I keep this at the top. Alright, and I'm going to go, I'm going to put it up a little bit. You'll see, I think in the other one I did it more towards the bottom. But it doesn't matter. You can put it wherever you want. Okay? So, can you see how this is starting to shape up? And I mean, what, 10 minutes of doing this and we're almost done making the mini? Alright, where's my envelopes? I have another envelope here, just a small one. This is a note card envelope. Gonna do the same thing. Oh, I need this to go stay down. Alright. So, on the flap, on the outside of the flap, I have a piece of score tape already. And I'm just going to add some ATG on the other end, just so it'll hold it down. Alright? And this is going to go, I'm going to flip my envelope this way, and this is going to go on this edge. I hope you can see that. Focus. Focus. Okay. Alright, and I'm going to put this one here. Again, I'm going to line it up with the edge of the envelope, and I know you really can't see this. Let's do that. Does that help? Alright, I'm just going to line it up, and you can put it just about anywhere, as long as you're right on the edge, and glue it down. Alright, so this is how it opens, and you have your envelope here. Alright, you have your first folder with the flaps that fold in like a gatefold album. Alright, now we're going to go to this side here and we're going to put another one there. Same thing. On the outside, I have a piece of score tape right near the edge. Alright, I'm going to take that out. Put my envelope back in so you can see what I'm doing. So since I went more towards the top, I'm going to go towards the bottom. And again, right on the edge. And that's that. There's your other envelope. Now I have one more, but this one's a little bit trickier. This is one of the regular, you know, business size envelopes, and that one's going to go here. But I'm going to show you how to do that in the other one because I actually need to be able to put the paper down. So this was just showing you how to do the basics of the album, but how easy is that, right? I think it took me longer to cut the pieces than it did to do anything else. So here's my other one, which I've already covered the back, and I've already started covering my pages. Okay, and where is my envelope? Right here. Okay, and I do have a piece of paper in there because I do want to cover this. Okay, it's kind of ugly. So I'm going to line my envelope with this, and I'm going to line it up with the edge of the envelope, and as soon as I'm sure that it's in there straight, I'm going to go ahead and lift up this flap here and use the sticky that's already on there to my advantage. Alright. Now, we need to score again. We're going to score right on the fold line of the envelope, which is right here. Okay, and I'm going to line it up, and look at that. It works out perfect. So I'm just going to score it here, following that line down. And I'll flip it over and do it again just to make sure, so that this will be able to close just like a regular pocket would. Okay, let's move this out of the way. So, I want this glued like this, but I also have a piece of paper that needs to go here. Okay? So what I do want to do is I want to round my corners on, I've been doing that on all of my pieces, and I'm using a We Are Memory Keepers corner punch, and I'm doing the 1/4 inch. Okay, so I'm going to try and line this up as best as I can. I don't mind if there's a little bit of space, and there will be a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add my paper. And we will talk a little bit about cutting the papers. Basically, what I did is I left 1/8 of an inch all the way around from the size of my file folder. So now for this one here, we're going to put score tape right here, right on the fold line on this side. Okay? And I'm actually going to use score tape, only score tape on this because I want it to stay. And I'm going to go ahead and cover this. Alright. And I'm going to round those corners as well. So I hope you can see what I did there. There's my fold line right here. There's my score tape right on the edge, and then on the other edge. And because I want to be consistent on the rounding, I'm going to go ahead and round my corners. Okay? Now I'm just going to glue this, lining it up as best as I can, making it straight and towards the middle. And I'm only going to take one off. Okay, and again, I got to turn this and try and line this up. It's shorter. The envelope is shorter than my back piece of paper, and I'm okay with that. Alright, and then this edge, pull the score tape off, and look at that. So now you have another pocket. Okay, so this is what we have, and I'll show you the papers. You got to see some of the papers already. Alright, I didn't do the cover yet. Alright, and all the ones that aren't done, I will show you how to do them. Okay, so cover, we're going to do that next. Again, everything is cut and everything is prepped. Isn't that gorgeous? I mean, even the back side, which I don't know if you can see the writing. It's like tone on tone. It's gorgeous. Alright. I'm trying to go as fast as I can so we can get all this in the hour. Okay, and I'm going to have problems with my ATG now. Glue everywhere. And it's stuck to me. Okay. It's a little bit different. Well, it is a different pattern than the other one. Mostly because I only got one of the collections. I think I mentioned it comes with 12 papers. So here's what I did, guys. When I cut, my file folder is 10 inches long, and measuring from here, I'm not counting the tabs, so I'm measuring from here, it's 8 1/4 inches wide. So I cut my paper at 9 3/4 by 8. Okay, so that leaves 1/8 of an inch border all the way around, and I think you guys probably know how to do that. I cut a little strip. This time around I didn't pay as much attention, so I didn't leave myself a really big strip like I did on the other one, which is right here. I left myself a bigger strip, but I didn't this time around. I wasn't paying attention, so I'm just going to line it up and glue it down, and that's it. Alright, easy peasy. I hope you think this is easy. Alright, so I've got my envelope covered here. I haven't covered this part, and I haven't done this part. So we're going to start with that, okay? How did I do this now? I've cut, for the big envelope, I've cut 2 pieces. And I eyeballed this, really, I did. I just made sure that the width was 1/8 of an inch, and then I just kind of eyeballed the measurements on top. So that's how that's going to go. Okay, so I'm just going to tack these down. To a rough idea of where I want it. Turn this around and again line it up, and I want to make sure that I punch this. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over, turn my punch over, reinsert it. Sorry if my head gets in the way, and punch that. Okay, so now I still have my little spot for my tag. Okay, and on my tag I am using this is what comes in the collection kit. This is the diction, this is the words. I love this about Authentique. And there's punch outs, and then the alphas, which I haven't used yet, and then more, and you can see I've already started punching these out. Okay, so here's what I did with that. I just put my piece in the envelope, and again that's cut about 1/4 of an inch total, and I picked myself a little circle, and I like this one here. Yeah, and I just added a dab of glue right to the edge, roughly. Oh, that's cute too. Let's do this one. Alright, and then turn the whole thing over and did the same thing on the other side. I'll use the pink one this time. I forgot that these were on here, on the back side, or the front. This is actually the front. The other side is the back side. So I'm going to use this one here, just so I'm not looking at the back. So again, it's right on the edge. Okay. And I'm just going to line it up. And then I'm actually going to pull it out because I have more punching to do. So I'm going to pull this out and put it aside to dry. Okay. We're going to go back to this side here. Move this a little bit. Alright, over here, where's my piece? I didn't want to cover the whole envelope. Okay. But I do want to cover the inside. So you could use this as just a tag. And you could add, oh, let's say one of these on here. One of the little tabs. So cute. I love this collection. The colors are just absolutely gorgeous. I said that already? Probably have. Okay, and I'm just going to glue it just on the edge. And that pretty much covers the inside. I mean, if you wanted to line your envelope, you could do that. Okay, you don't need to, because it's not ugly inside. It's white and it matches with everything else. Alright, so I didn't want to cover this whole section here. So I kind of determined that I wanted a piece roughly about 3 inches wide that would still give me enough room to be able to pull this out. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a piece of tape here. And then, oh, which side do I want? Do I want that side? Or do I want that side? I think I want the other side. Yeah. And I didn't put tape up here because I have some there and I don't want to go past that line. Okay. And it's a little short, and that's okay. This paper here actually comes from the 6x6, sorry, upside down, 6x6 bundle. In total, I'm making 2 file folder albums with 12 sheets of paper, the 12x12s, and I still have a couple pieces left of the 6x6. That's all I've used for 2 albums. And I have a ton of scraps. Okay? Alright, so we've done this. We've done that. This side is covered. Now we're going to turn it over. And this time I decided to do something different. I took the 6x6 and I wanted all of it. I wanted the whole piece so that I could put it like that. Alright? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tack it in place because, like I said, we still have a lot to cover. Alright, and once again, I'm going to flip this over so I can punch that side. Well, now, okay. Alright, so now I've got my pocket with the space for my little photo mat to go into. Alright. Yeah. And then again, because I wanted the whole piece, I just kind of eyeballed how big I wanted. I didn't measure. And I have this other little piece here, so I'm just going to tack that down too. And yeah, there's a little bit of space in there, but that's okay. I don't mind. And then I thought I'd add this in here, so I'm going to have to kind of eyeball that and cut it. And it might be long enough. It might not be. I don't know. Guess we'll find out. And roughly about there. That's pretty good. Okay. That's pretty easy. Alright, so moving on here, I covered this side here. And all I did was I took, when I cut my 12x12 paper down, whatever strips were left, and you can see it's more than 1/8 of an inch. Actually, on this side, it's almost 1/4 of an inch. I didn't worry about that. I just went ahead and used it anyway, so I could use as few large pieces of paper as I could. Alright, so I did that side. Moving on to this side here, I wanted a little pocket. So, again, I just picked a piece of paper and decided that that's what I was going to use, and I rounded my corners. If you'll notice, all my corners are rounded. So I'm going to tack that down. This one here I might actually put down a little bit better, just because I have something else going over top of it. And I'm just going to line it up as straight as I can. Okay, and then I cut another piece so that it would overlap. So what I'm going to do on this one here is I'm actually going to use, well, I can use the ATG. So I only want to put tape on 3 sides, so that's going to be going into the rounded corners, so that I do have my little pocket. And just going to set that in place, making sure that this part is lined up. And I thought that would be kind of cute, this little piece here. So we're going to do that one too on top. Now you could make all your pages, you could have more pockets if you wanted to. Okay, I just chose not to do it that way, but you could certainly have a whole bunch of pockets. Can you imagine? I mean, you could put pockets everywhere. So easy peasy, right? Alright, this one here, this envelope, I did the same way I showed you. My little tab, which I need to add a little tag to, and I haven't decided what I'm going to do on that one yet. And where is my other piece of paper? Right here. Yeah, no, we're going to go with this here. So, and that's cut, and that's going to be in here. So I am going to have a white edge around, and I'm okay with that because it doesn't bother me. Okay, and then I just need to put a tab in there, and a tag. And what I was thinking of using was this strip that comes in the kit, and that's the back side of it. So I think that's what I will use because I don't have another piece wide enough. But once I cut it, that will fit. You'll see it'll stick out, and I can have another tab right there. Okay, so was that fairly simple? All right, back to the front cover. And you can leave your tabs plain if you want. That's up to you. I kind of like the idea of having something on there. So I took washi tape, and this washi tape here actually came in the March. Was it the main kit? I think it was the main kit. It's actually a gray, and it matches the papers really well. So this is how simple I did that. I just lined it up. Well, of course I can't see that. Lined it up and tore it off on the ends. And that's it. And then that way I have a strip. And this is where the words came in. And I just picked a phrase, and this one here has a couple different oh, got sticky stuff on me. Phrases, not just words. And I think I'm going to use this one that says, "You make my heart skip a beat." And so you can see, even though it's a Valentine paper, you really don't have to use it for Valentine's. And then I'll just continue going through and add some more words, as many words as I want. Okay? And of course, I will make, I will add more tags. And what I'm using, and you're not going to get to see a lot of this here, is the journal cards. And I still have quite a few of them left. Okay? And I've used some of those as just little tags. I've used some of them as photo mats. whatever you want to do, okay? That's totally up to you. Now, if you decide that you want to do like I did in here, all right, I added more of the punched pieces. If you decide you want to do that, then obviously you're going to need to punch more paper. So, and of course, I didn't prep this part because I didn't think about it ahead of time. So I'm just lining it up with my paper, and I'm going to make myself a little mark and cut it. And again, this is punched from the file folder. I figured I had the right color, might as well continue using it. So I'm just going to line this up and cut it. And I did use glue. However, where's my piece? I did cut a few little pieces, strips, long strips, the length of the paper, and wove those through the medallions. And then on some of them, I did cut them apart. And I'll show you that in just a minute. Alright, and then that gives you a really easy spot, easy way to glue down too. Okay, because you can just add the glue right down the middle, and that will hold it in place. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of tape. I did use glue on mine, other one. And lining it up. And then just cut off. Yeah, can't see that, and it's off, but that's okay. I'll trim it later. Alright. And then I went through my journaling cards and picked, oh, I like this one here. I think that would be cute. It says, I will give you hugs and kisses forever and always. It's cute. I like it. I think it's too much pink, so let's go back and see if I can find something else. Let's see if we can find something blue. Here we go. To love and be loved is to feel the sun from both sides. And I just angled it. So, and I'm not going to put tape all over because I want to leave room for a big photo. Like, where is it? Right here. Underneath everything. Okay. And then I could tuck in some more tags if I wanted to. Like that. Okay. Alright, so I'm just going to put tape along the side and the bottom. And just kind of angled it. And I made sure I went over my washi tape. Okay, I hope that makes sense. What I really wanted you to see was the punching and the basics of making the album. How you choose to decorate it, that's up to you. You can add as much as you want or as little as you want. I did add more and ended up going back in and adding some flowers, and I'll show you those. I die cut these with the Dynamics, what is that called? Plentiful Petals. And you can see there's like 3 large petals and then 3 of the small, like you could use those for the insides. I didn't do that. I used this size. Yes, I used this size only. You can see that a little bit better. Okay. And I just took some of the scraps. Let me see if I can get one that's easier to see. Okay, let's go back to that. Oh, look, I have another one here. I'll use this one here. It's got the little hearts on it. And all I did was I just pushed my petals up. I just kind of held around the middle and just pushed my petals up. And some of them I doubled and some of them I didn't. I'm just going to add a tiny little bit of glue there. And put it there. And if you want, you can add whatever, some kind of bling if you want, or some of the microspheres from 13 Arts. That would be really pretty in there too. Or you could, you know, double it up however you want. I think that's kind of cute right there. Let's do that. even though I haven't bent them yet. And just kind of offset it a little bit. It's not perfectly round. And once you close your album, it is going to flatten out a little bit too. So, okay, and I did use some of the Prima Satin crystals, although I didn't mention that before because that was a last minute thought. Alright, so pretty easy on the album. Alright, so let's get our stuff that's drying. And the first thing I want to do, and yay, it's dry. Can you see the shimmer? I hope you can see that. It's just a hint of pink. Okay? It's just absolutely gorgeous. I love that spray. Alright, I'm just going to turn my piece upside down. Alright, now if you are using cardstock instead of using a file folder, then obviously you're going to have to cut 2 strips and then overlap them. Alright, in the middle somewhere. You're going to have to do that because you need it. You need the length. And even then you can see it's not quite long enough. Now, I could have scored this and I chose not to because I have a feeling that by the time I'm done, this is going to grow. So I kind of gave it a little bit of space. Alright, I'm just going to put a little piece of paper in here because I need to tape these down. And please don't ask me what kind of tape this is because I really have no idea. It's just what I had on hand. Alright, I'm just going to tape this down just so I can... I'm going to tape it there. I didn't want anything that would hold it down to the paper so that when I took it off it would be messed up. Just tacking it down just long enough for me to do what I need to do, which is going back to the circles. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to glue our circles. Let me get another piece of paper here. Yeah, I'll use that. Alright, pretend this side doesn't exist right now. So what I want to do is I want to glue this piece to here. Alright, so I'm just going to add some glue. I'm not being careful about it. I don't want it necessarily in the center. Alright, and then I'm going to use magnets. These are basic gray magnetic discs, and they are a pain to get out of this thing, which is good. Now, there is a right way and a wrong way on these. I found that out the hard way, and now I can't get them apart. How awesome is that? Oh, there we go. Okay, and they do have a sticker on them. So the sticker side actually goes down. It's the other side that it tracks. So I'm going to take the sticker off, and I am going to put some glue. Now normally I would probably use something stronger than that, which is almost empty. Yeah, lid is glued to me. Should have thought about this before. It's thinking about working. I guess we're going to go over. I'm looking at the time going, oh my gosh. Come on, glue. There we go. Alright. So sticky side down. Put some more glue around the edge, which is why I wasn't worried about how I put this piece down. Alright, and then line up your other circle on top as best as you can. Make sure it glues. Alright, now we need to do the other side. Now, the important part is that we need to line these up. Okay? Because you don't want to see them like this. It's going to show on your project. Alright? So, once again, I'm back to the glue that works when it feels like it. I specifically bought a brand new bottle so I wouldn't have to deal with this. And guess what? Forgot all about it. I only need one here. So line it up. And I have this piece here just to protect the paper because I'm horrible with glue. Another little piece there. Pull off the sticker. Now, if you don't want to use magnets or you can't find the magnets anywhere, oh, this one's wanting to go the other way. Okay. You can tell once you go to put it down, it'll automatically go the way it needs to go to stick together. If you don't want to use magnets, you could make your belly band one piece that you slip on and off, or you could use Velcro is another good idea. Alright, that's glued down. Yay, look at that. I'm just going to leave that there, but I am going to take my tape off. And this tape does take some of the shine off, so you could do the gluing of that piece first, and then add your Lindy stamp. Yeah, let me grab the flowers. You should see my desk and the floor behind me. Oy. Okay, so the reason that I took the flower apart is because I thought it was too thick with all the flowers that I had on there. So I'm going to just line this up as best as I can here. Sort of in the middle, sort of. Alright. And I'm going to take the larger of the petaloos and I'm going to glue it about right there. Yeah. So you just basically want to cover your circle. Okay. And then this one here, because I want to make sure it goes on the circle, I'm going to put the glue on the circle itself. And mush it down. Okay, now the reason I did this is so I could do this and then add some more weight to kind of sort of balance the flower because it wasn't balancing right on this side here. And I just tucked it under, so it gives it a little bit more. Okay, and then I'm going to add my vine and plump these up a little bit. Fix my leaves. Okay, glue. And I'm just going to tuck it underneath at an angle. Okay. And the last petaloo. Is going to go roughly right about there. Okay. And now this little piece here, I hope you can see the texture and the shine. Isn't that gorgeous? Doesn't need much of anything else, but you could add more if you wanted to. Alright, let's go to this glue here. Ah, another one that's half empty. I got more bottles of glue out than anything else. Just using Scotch Quick Dry. I'm just going to put it in a few different spots. Alright, and then I'm going to do the same thing I did on the other one. I'm just going to tuck it underneath. Get rid of that. Roughly like that. And then the last thing that I want to do, this is one of the Flying Unicorn metal adornments. And this also came in the March kit. And I already had one, but as soon as I saw it, I knew it would be perfect for this project, so I kind of hoarded it. So that I would have two one for the one that I already made, and this one. So all I did was I did have add some of this. This is Fabri-Tac, and I also added a little tiny bit of glossy accents, but I'm not going to worry about that right now because I don't need to be fighting with another bottle of glue. I just put it on the piece that hangs, and I just tucked it underneath my flower and let it dry like that. What do you think, guys? You like it? I'm really happy with how this project came out. I really love the authentic papers. One of the other things I really love about is the selvage edge. They always have a quote, and I did use the quote in the other one. And let me put this aside, and I will bring it back so you can see the finished piece with some of the embellishments. I'm not done with it, so obviously the pictures. Alright, this is where I use the quote right here. I just tucked it on top, and you can see the journaling cards. You can glue them down, or you can leave a space for a picture, or you can use them as spots to put your pictures on, like here. I was going to put a picture here and let her, you know, do whatever writing she wants, and then same here. And then the tag is just a tag I had in my stash, and I just cut a piece of the punched edge that I did and just glued it down. That's it. A few more flowers here and there, a few more tags here and there, which obviously I didn't show you how to do. Same thing here. All I did was I took a strip like this, which obviously wasn't blue, glued it over the paper, and then just added a strip of the washi tape on top. And then more strips here and there. And I left plenty of room for pictures. Like I said, I haven't added those. And lots of cards. Little flower, and here's my large tag. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed the project, ladies. That was fun. It was fast and easy to do. Really, the longest part was cutting. So I'm going to flip the camera back around, and just bear with me because it's... I have to hold it on one end and then... okay. Yay. Sort of. Alright. It's kind of crooked, but that's because it's not tied in one spot. So I hope you enjoyed the project. Really happy to do that for you. I hope you're going to try this. It's, like I said, making the album takes no time at all. It takes more time to cut the papers than it does to actually make the album. And you can see, even though I had some of the prep work done, you know, a couple hours and you can be done. I mean, it's really that simple. So I really hope you enjoyed that. Once again, don't forget the products that I've used that Alda carries in the store, 10% off. Go to the Flying Unicorn store. You'll see the Ustream tab. Click on that, 10% off all the supplies. Also, next Wednesday, Jennifer will be on with a gorgeous project. I know she will because she always does gorgeous projects. And then Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, this Saturday the 14th, Delana will be on with a super project done with the Simple Stories collection. I can't wait to see that as well. So if you guys have any questions, I can hang on for a little bit. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop record. You'll have to ask questions on the social stream so I can see them. But, yeah, so meanwhile, I'm going to stop the